Hi folks, this is Jay. Hope you're okay today, and love to everybody out there. I just want to make a video about verifiability and evolution. In the scientific method, what you do is you have a theory, then you go and test it, and as you test it, you keep repeating the experiments. You can verify whether your theory has a strong probability of being correct or not. So this repeating and testing with experiments is absolutely central to the scientific method. Yet when it comes to evolution, this whole scientific method is not utilized at the basic foundation of evolution. Natural selection and mutation are the basic foundations of evolution. Yet it has never been verified. There has never been any repeatable test to prove with any probability that evolution can take place. And when I mean evolution, I mean at the micro scale, where we can see a specific biological entity in its own characteristic move into another characteristic that is not identifiable with the original characteristic of that biological entity. And there's been no repeatable tests done that verify that that can happen. What tends to happen, and what does happen, is scientists will say, well, we can't prove this mechanism because it takes billions of years for it to develop and produce new biological entities, so we can't observe that. Well, if we can't observe it, then it means evolution is not verifiable. It means that it's not based on real science. What's happening is, as Dr. Meyer would say, he was one of the most leading evolution theorists, is that what's happening is we're doing historical science. And what that means is we're not doing repeatable, we've not got that repeatable test for that mechanism. So what we're doing is we're going to information of the past, whether it be archaeology, geology, fossils, DNA samples, whatever, and working back into the past. The problem with that is, if you've got no evidence for the actual theory itself, which is repeatable, which is evidential in its foundation, from a scientific point of view, then all you're doing is collecting information and putting it in a context that fits your theory, a theory that doesn't have any direct evidence. And how can you prove evolution to be wrong if the mechanism is not open for debate and discussion and cannot be proved wrong? It means you're able to always outflank any person who will challenge you on an academic point of view, because you never have to prove or disprove your main position, because you can always say, oh, I can't prove it because it takes billions of years, and your opponent says, well, I want to debunk it, and here's the evidence to debunk it. Well, you can't do that because it takes millions of years, billions of years. So it shields you from critical analysis, and then you're able to buttress it up with circumstantial evidence and fit it around whenever it suits you. So basically, I want to ask every scientist out there is, why do you believe in evolution when you know that there has been no repeatable, verifiable studies done on that mechanism of natural selection and mutation that gives any probability that evolution is correct? And I'm not talking biological development within a particular biological entity that is the same biological entity but has variation. I'm talking a biological entity that moves out of its own circumference and becomes a different entity. That's what I'm talking about. And there has been no repeatable test to show that. So Basically, evolution is not verifiable. That should, if you worked on the basis of the scientific method, on that basis we wouldn't make any progress whatsoever. And yet every day as a scientist you're doing the scientific method, and yet when it comes to evolution you kind of just push that at the back burner on that main issue of mutation and natural selection. It's as if that's a sacred thing that we mustn't criticise, we mustn't be able to verify, come what may. And there's something seriously wrong with that. And as a scientist you need to really think about that. Thank you for listening, and God bless you.